What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Got some major news for you here. We got some big news here on what is happening here with the Israel Gaza Hamas war and also the Fed's major announcement here. We're going to cover it all here in this video. Let's jump right in. And if you appreciate these updates, don't forget to smash the like button for us. It only takes a second. You guys are awesome. Let's jump right in. Here we go. Okay, first up, U.S. targets or U.S. military bases and U.S. military personnel lives at risk in Syria and Iraq have been attacked at least 24 times in the past 2 weeks, defense official says. 24 times. Also, this does not count missiles and rockets that have been shot down a mile from the bases or the targets. Those don't even count. So it's actually probably a lot more than 24 times. This is getting pretty serious. Now, the U.S. has already attacked back one time already, target a weapons depot storage facility in Syria. This is very serious. In fact, many people think we're already in World War III. We're being attacked 24 plus times already. We've attacked back. We have a war in Israel, Hamas, a war in Israel, Gaza versus Israel, Hamas, Iran backed, possibly Russia backed. We have a war in Ukraine with Russia and pretty much all of NATO supporting it, dozens of countries. Here's what President Biden had to say when asked about this. Take a listen here.
Mr. President, I want to ask about the conflict, the war in the Middle East. 24 U.S. troops have been injured during 10 drone or rocket attacks on bases in Iraq and 3 in Syria over the past week. You've told Iran to, quote, be careful as your administration tries to prevent the Israeli-Hamas war from expanding into a larger Middle East conflict. But should Americans be worried that the war already is escalating? And after you answer that question, I'd like one more follow-up, please.
One or two more, huh? Joey, look, we have had troops in the region since 9/11 to go after ISIS and prevent its reemergence in both, anyway, in the region, having nothing to do with Israel at all. My warning to the Ayatollah was that if they continue to move against those troops, we will respond, and he should be prepared. It has nothing to do with Israel.
Well, let me ask my follow-up here. I want to discuss. Oh, here we go. Yeah, your conversations with Prime Minister Netanyahu, who obviously you've known for decades, and you had a very emotional trip there last week to Israel. Have you sought assurances from him that he will hold off on a ground invasion into Gaza until the safe release of the hostages can be assured? And of course, those include 10 unaccounted for Americans.
No. What I have indicated to him is that if that's possible to get these folks out safely, that's what he should do. It's their decision. But I did not demand it. I pointed out to him, if it's real, it should be done. Thank you.
But aren't these hostages in jeopardy if there is a ground invasion?
You want to make a speech? No, look, obviously they're in jeopardy. The question is whether or not there's any way of getting them out. If we can get them out, we should get them out.
This comes as Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu says that they will not agree to a ceasefire at this point. UNICEF says that more than 420 children are being killed or injured in Gaza every day. Yeah, so you guys can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. Here in the United States, we're seeing multiple college campuses and even Grand Central Station in New York City with multiple different gatherings and even protests. You can see here NYC demand Israel ceasefire. But remember here, there were also, you can see at least 200 detained after filling Grand Central Station. 200 people were detained and their hands were zip tied behind their backs and escorted out of there by police. You guys can let me know your thoughts here in the comments on this. And you could see here in the US, this is becoming more and more of a concern. Pro-Palestinian protesters plan to flood Brooklyn near Hasidic Jewish site. Quote, the louder we will be. Yeah, thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters shut down Brooklyn Bridge after flooding New York City streets alongside Orthodox Jewish members to condemn Israel's war in Gaza. They call this Israel's war, but remember, Israel was attacked first with 2,000 missiles at a music festival and took over 200 hostages, which have still not been returned, and they're still being attacked to this day. So, what do they want Israel to do? In fact, if you watch my previous video, Hezbollah is still attacking or is still launching fresh new rocket attacks on Israel. And this isn't even Hamas. This is Hezbollah with 100,000 troops from Iranian backers. So now Israel is being hit from two different fronts. And they're calling this Israel's war. So what do they want Israel to do? Stop defending themselves and just get attacked from two different fronts when they got attacked out of the blue by 2,000 missiles? It's now probably upward of 10,000 missiles alone. You guys can let me know your thoughts here on this. And now you have all these, people saying, defending Hamas and Hezbollah and, Palestine. I get the fact of the citizens and the innocents. That I can understand. They really need to get out of there because it's a war zone. It's a literal war zone. Then there's the same thing with Israel, the innocents in Israel. And, if you have the opportunity or if you haven't yet, you really need to get out of there because it's, God help you, it's a war zone there. And now you have all these, people on college campuses, on the Brooklyn Bridge, in New York City, and all across, not even just the US, all around the world, saying, all these protests and everything. In fact, Ron DeSantis and Republican Senator Tim Scott vow sanctions on colleges and students over support for Hamas. Remember, the initial attacker in this war who started this new phase of the war. I mean, again, we're not going back here thousands a year, right? But this new phase of the war, if it hadn't started this new war, this new phase of this 1,000-year-old war wouldn't have started again. They say in here, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and presidential candidate said, quote, you see students demonstrating in our country in favor of Hamas. Remember, some of them are foreigners. The governor said if elected for president, he will be canceling your visa and I'm sending you home. Quote, fellow GOP presidential hopeful and Senator Tim Scott at the same event said he would withhold Pell Grants from universities that failed to stamp out anti-Semitism. In the past 2 weeks, DeSantis has also looked to impose new sanctions on Iranian businesses in Florida, charter flights of Floridians back from Israel, and provides support to the Middle Eastern nations with aid in its war against Hamas. DeSantis has called pro-Palestine protests, quote, a total disgrace and been against the United States accepting refugees from Gaza. Quote, I don't know what President Biden is going to do, but we cannot accept people from Gaza into this country as refugees. I am not going to do that. If you look at how they behave, not all of them are Hamas, but they all are anti-Semitic. None of them believe in Israel's right to exist. End quote. You guys can let me know your thoughts in the comments. This also comes here as the Dow Jones went up over 500 points here today. Pretty big jump. U.S. stock market rallies as investors wait the Fed decision here. And Apple earnings, new Apple announcement coming here as well. Expected new Apple laptops and Apple chips here in the new iMacs. Eyes are now on the U.S. Central Bank, the Fed, and Apple, the biggest company on the S&P 500, to lift spirit after a tough few months for the stock market. Also closely watched is the U.S. jobs report for October due on Friday. In a jump for the Fed's preferred inflation metric has raised expectations that policymakers will stick to their, quote, higher for longer interest rates stance and hold interest rates steady in their decision on Wednesday. So this is what they think with the new decision coming on Wednesday. They're hoping, that's the key word, hoping that they won't raise interest rates again. Higher for longer is the key there. Interest rates still massively high. Credit card interest rates at all-time highs, never been higher. And mortgage rates at over 8%, the highest they have been in over 20 years. So I will keep you up to date here on that when it comes out. I'm only going to be doing videos at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a while. I'm going to be testing the YouTube algorithm. Even though I've had over 2 million views a month here recently and over 200 million views on my YouTube channel in total, YouTube is not pushing me out to new audiences and new subscribers, even though I have that many views. So I'm going to be testing one video a day here at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a little bit and to see what will happen. So 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if you're on the West Coast, I think that's 5 p.m. Eastern. So make sure to tune in at those times. Please like and share these videos. It helps our YouTube channel grow, and I will keep you up to date here on a daily basis. Click here to see the United Nations major warning about World War III, or click here to watch my newest video next, and I will have special guests here on for tomorrow for Halloween. Don't miss that here as well. Thanks. I'll see you in the next video.